Okay, so I love the Glaswegian accent, and I was wondering if you could teach me some local phrases.
Well, it's very hard to bring them to mind. This is the thing. It's all right when your eyes are not going and happy eyes.
Hey, we're recording the podcast. Shut up.
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning somewhere!
for November 8th, 2024. My name is Burnie Burns, sitting right over there. Is that right, Kin? It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody. That's, did you see that the searches for moving to Scotland have peaked at a record high in the U.S.?
I did see that. So, listeners, we see you.
Recorded in Scotland!
So do everybody on the Scottish subreddits are like, oh, Jesus, here they come.
Here they come. Yes. So there's been a surge in like Google searches of how to move to Scotland, how to acquire Scottish citizenship, et cetera, et cetera. This
Can't even find a decent culture to be colonised by.
It's not as easy as you think, bud.
No, so I just want to give everyone a heads up. It is a lovely place to get to if you can, but it can be a very complicated process. Getting visas, when we talk about like immigration and everything, visas are the hard thing, right? Like getting permission to stay in a country, that's the tough part. It's not like getting like a house or an apartment or something. That is fairly straightforward, or you'd be familiar with it. But getting a visa is not something that most Americans have ever had to even think about doing.
Immigration hurdles are not unique to the U.S. They are not. That's the case in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like they make it hard for you to move to the country.
Yeah, like when I was in Australia, I had to have my visa sponsored by an employer to even have a chance at staying. And it was a major issue. It was like tons of paperwork. At one point, I had to leave the country and go to New Zealand so they could submit the paperwork. There's all kinds of really fiddly rules around it. So if you're interested, I'm not saying it's not possible. It is difficult. It can be challenging. If you can, I would try and like talk to like a visa. There are visa services that can help you with that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I do miss about Rooster Teeth. There's not much I miss about the size of Rooster Teeth that it was by the time we left. But there was even cases where like we knew people who had visas and they were leaving their job that they were using to qualify for a visa. And then it was like someone that we knew that we liked. And it was like we had the ability to hire them and say, okay, we can help this situation out and hire them.
And sponsor the visa.
Yeah, and help them, or maintain their visa. You know what I mean? In some cases, directly we got people visas. We went through the process with lawyers to help them get either H-1Bs for coming down from Canada or an O-1 visa. That's the visa that we have here. It sounds, it's the title of the visa. I'm not being a jackass. It's a global talent visa is what I have in the UK.
Oh, Burnie, don't sell yourself short. I think you're a global talent.
Going global with this talent, baby.
But there are multiple types of visas, but it can be a little challenging. So that's something to look into before you say, like, go check out the real estate and try and buy a house.
Yes. Also, you have to buy your way into the NHS. You don't just get to show up and take part in the NHS. You have a big fee on your visa to like buy yourself in. So depending on your age, that can be all sorts of different levels. If you have kids, that could be a different level.
She's something like instant.
You don't know. It could be. It's a very expensive process to move.
You could need language lessons.
If it's the kind of thing that's driving you to consider it, and searches are just searches. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean people are going to do anything.
No, but, it's the first idle thought, right? It's the like you get like a little like a brainworm, and you go, I wonder, and the first step is to search it. Right? That's the first thing you do. So
right,
it's not
curiosity.
saying that like suddenly a bunch of people are packing their bags and they're just going to turn up on Scotland's doorstep. That's not how that's ever worked. But it is an indication of interest.
Yeah, I would say just it's a lot easier to move to a state in the U.S. that is more likely to match your political leanings.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. That'd be way easier.
Yeah, who's going to match your energy?
Yeah, who's going to match your energy? Where you go? By the way, you can't apply to a visa to Scotland. It's the United Kingdom.
It's the UK. Yeah, it's the United Kingdom. So it's like it's kind of you can live in London or you can live in up here in Scotland, and You can go anywhere.
Or Dublin.
But no, I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Got to be somewhat American in this.
no.
A lot of people are looking at lots of places, but then Americans, once they learn they have to learn a different language, that immediately dies.
It narrows the options. It certainly narrows your appetite to the UK, Canada, Australia.
Yeah. There's nothing that French people love more than Americans with their Duolingo French showing up. I have never seen a country of people where you go and they get mad at you for not speaking their language and then get madder at you for speaking it.
I know a couple very basic words of French, but I'm also very aware that when you go to France, people in France don't like being forced to speak English to communicate with you because you're basically on their turf. And so my approach is I'll look at a menu or something, I'll leave half the letters off just at random of whatever I'm saying, pronounce it, and butcher it so bad that they give up and start speaking English so they don't have to hear me attempt French anymore.
You know, it's the look of, it's like that old dad saying, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. They get both on their face. They're mad at you and they're disappointed in you for trying to speak French to them. But you will, you know.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Do you ever see that clip, that reel of the guy who's like, we'll post it and link up. I will try to find this reel after yesterday's discussion.
Luck.
Yeah. It's a guy who's like, what it's like to try to speak French in France. And he says bonjour to somebody, and they say, what's bonjour?
No.
No, they act like they don't know what he's saying. Like they've never heard that version of the word before in their life.
One of those,
Yeah.
I see.
It's like
Brutal.
It's like trolling constantly. But you will have to learn a new language
In Scotland anyway.
As evidence of the drop, you will have to learn a new language when you move here too.
But we've gone down quite the linguistics rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But speaking of current events, Bernie, there's something very important happening today in Scotland specifically. Well, all the UK really. And that is that the film Red 1 has hit theaters. It's not hitting the US and rest of the world.
Update the Wikipedia entry for Scotland. Red 1 is out.
Red 1 is here, and boy, are the reviews rough.
There's two movies right now that are getting kind of panned that I wanted to do well. One is this Red 1, which is J.K. Simmons. I want to like every single J.K. Simmons movie that's out, especially he plays like a buff Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, you'll be pleased to hear, Bernie, that the reviews all indicate that he, in the role, is very, very charming and he does a wonderful job. But the movie as a whole perhaps suffers a little bit.
Jesus, what a clusterfuck.
So this is a movie that was filmed, I believe it was initially filmed with the intention of releasing on Netflix along with, Magic Mike Does Christmas. And apparently there's one now where a widow makes a snowman into a real man and finds love called Hot Frosty. That's hitting in a couple of days. Can't wait.
You just try to sneak this in all the time.
Wait. No, look, there's so many incredible Christmas movies coming out.
Frosty.
I feel like I have to make like a March Madness bracket to figure out which of these Christmas movies is going to reign supreme this year. But Red 1 was initially filmed for Netflix, I think, but they've decided to release it in theaters. And I wondered why until I found out that it has a $250 million budget.
What?
Yes.
For a Santa Claus movie?
Yeah.
Is that the highest budget Christmas movie of all time?
It's the highest one I've ever heard of. So
God.
I'm not surprised they're releasing it in theaters because they have to try to make some of that back somehow, right? I mean, yes, Netflix has the money bags, but $250 million on one Netflix movie? Tough one.
In the Patreon exclusive talk that I did with Jeff, we talked about how cool it would be to be a musician and make basically like 10 pieces of content your whole life and then just live off that forever. The holy grail of movie making is to get a Christmas movie.
A Christmas hit.
A Christmas hit that just plays forever. Like Elf is a great example of that. A new good example of that, where Jon Favreau is the director, the guy behind Marvel and Mandalorian and everything. He made Elf with Will Ferrell, and now it just makes so much money every year. It's like just such a bankable thing every year. And then you look at Mariah Carey. I mean, that's a whole career with just one song, and the right timing. And there's a reason why she makes a big deal about it and promotes it every single year.
You see that spike, 1st of November.
Yeah.
This is her time. She makes videos about it every year. It's a big deal because she makes enough money to live off just from this like Christmas window.
I'll look at it this weekend and see if I can figure out for Monday's show like how much money that song makes every single year.
And everyone wants a Christmas hit. Everyone's always trying to make a Christmas hit. Everyone has Christmas albums. I feel like one of the more recent ones that has stuck was, I think it was an Ariana Grande song, the Santa Baby, whatever her version of that song is one of the.
They remade that song?
No, it's not. She says Santa Baby in it, but the rest of the song is more original. It's like her original Christmas hit.
Okay.
But everyone is trying to get a Christmas hit because if you can do that, you've got your retirement.
That and Baby It's Cold Outside are like the skeeviest kind of Christmas song. Really weird. You listen to it, you're like, what are we listening to right now? Exactly. But so if you're planning to go to theaters, you can check out Red One, or the other one I was mentioning before is there's a movie by Robert Zemeckis. It basically reunites the entire Forrest Gump cast and the director, Robert Zemeckis, Robin Wright, and Tom Hanks. It's a movie called Here. It's a very, like, if I may, it almost sounds like an experimental film where it's all filmed from one fixed camera position in the living room of an American house over the course of many generations.
Well, that sounds like it's probably got a much better managed budget and is unlikely to run $250 million for production.
I don't actually know what the budget on it was. You used to be able to find that stuff out more easily. It used to be part of Box Office Mojo, and then at some point that just stopped. Mainly because then everybody became like an armchair, like, entertainment executive, Like, I would make a $250 million movie and I would just make it good.
I would just do that.
Yeah, just like make the movie, but make it a good one. That's what they should have done. Right now, that's very much in the conversation because they've yet again signed on somebody to make another Star Wars trilogy. How many times have they done this and then not put those movies out?
I know. The Star Wars team just can't seem to learn. Lucasfilm has tapped Simon Kinberg to write and produce apparently another Star Wars trilogy about something. But here's the thing with Star Wars is they keep announcing all these projects that never happen. So you guys stop announcing this shit. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop because none of it's getting made. And my reaction when I see a headline like this now is, sure.
Right.
I don't think that's the reaction you want when someone reads a headline about a potential new project. You want them to be excited about it.
Yeah, it's like check under your pillow, check your drawers at home. You might have a contract for a Star Wars trilogy somewhere in your house right now that you forgot about, that you signed.
You're doing some renovations, knock a hole in the wall and pull out a Star Wars movie contract.
Get busy, chump. We want these Star Wars movies. It's really crazy, too, with where the trajectory, like, we were just talking about Mandalorian. After Mandalorian, it looked like Star Wars was
back, baby.
Yeah, and killing it in the series, the digital series aspect in particular. But now after Marvel's Agatha All Along, it seems like Marvel's starting to dominate, not just in the movies. There's been a drop-off in general, but Marvel's been so dominant in the cinemas and now is starting to get the digital series stuff really, really right. Whereas that used to be what DC did right. Like, they couldn't get the movies in the theaters right, but they could do the great TV series. And now Marvel's just starting to dominate every single aspect of it.
I mean, I'm not gonna declare an entire trend based off the success of Agatha All Along, although I do hope that Marvel learns from what made that series work. I mean, you could say as well that the Mandalorian was an Agatha All Along, or that Andor was their Agatha All Along, but both properties have had a couple real good hits and then a lot of misses.
What's a bad Marvel series? The only one I can think of is the Hidden War.
Secret Invasion or whatever it was?
Yeah.
That
Skrull one.
That one I watched and I couldn't explain to myself why I was watching this thing.
Is that not the exception that proves the rule,
Maybe. Loki was good. Agatha All Along was good. I liked Ms. Marvel, but it was definitely niche.
It doesn't have to be popular; it just has to be good.
I enjoyed She-Hulk for what it was, but I understood why people had the complaints about it that they did have.
By the way, I should point out, I made a there. That was from I didn't like people's reaction to it because it was very faithful to the comics, but people were like, the usual crowd that comes out and gets upset about these movies that usual crowd shut up and got usually upset about this stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, I really liked it, but I also really love Tatiana Maslany. She was from the Orphan Black TV show she was absolutely incredible playing a bunch of different roles. And so I have a soft spot for her. So I'm never sure when I'm the one who's biased in favor of something or if everyone else is just biased against something.
Yeah. I think a lot of the feedback from like hardcore Marvel fans too, going back to like the comics fans, is in general the Hulk has just been like mishandled the entirety of the MCU basically.
And which I don't necessarily disagree with, but it can also be hard to handle him correctly when you can't make Hulk movies.
Yeah, maybe they should just do a digital series with Hulk, like do like a 70s Lou Ferrigno style. If the 50s style Fantastic Four works, I would not bet on that. I have no ability to predict how that movie's going to do.
I've got my fingers crossed. I think that the stylism would
the aesthetic.
The aesthetic can carry
the vibe
can carry a lot. It's given vibes.
I think if that does well, they could maybe in that universe do a 1970s send up of either Hulk or I think Ghost Rider would be a good like 70s style show for them.
Well, we're seeing a lot of murmurs about Ghost Rider coming back, so this could be the time.
He was rumored to be in in Deadpool. There was a rumor that they just couldn't afford it, but they were going to try to bring back Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider as well.
Well, Bernie, this is very topical that you mention Deadpool because Ryan Reynolds is saying that now Marvel's very excited about Gambit. After
Red One, did that have a higher budget than Deadpool and Wolverine? They kept talking about budget cuts for Deadpool and Wolverine. Did Red One have a bigger budget than?
Let's fucking hope not.
DP&W?
I'm gonna Google this, but I hope not. But apparently, Marvel's very excited about Gambit and could potentially do more projects with Channing Tatum's Gambit after the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, because Reynolds was saying that it's just sometimes you just have to show them that it can work. And that they did that with Deadpool, and Marvel's been on board with Deadpool. They've been really great to work with, and that now they've seen Gambit and seen how that can work, and that we might see more of him in the future, which would be awesome. I actually thought he did really well in that film.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I'm in the camp of I don't get that at all after having seen that character in Deadpool and Wolverine. At the same time, I'm rooting for you. Go for it. I'm a big Channing Tatum fan. You know what I mean? I didn't particularly get it, maybe because I've never really liked the character of Gambit in general. Never really made much sense to me.
I don't know how Gambit in that particular format can lead because it's going to be hard to have a character who is almost unintelligible, who everyone has difficulty understanding, and that's part of the joke. But that doesn't mean that we can't see him either pull back on that just a little bit or pop up in a lot of various properties.
Yeah.
And a quick search here, the AI summary at the top of my search results said that Deadpool and Wolverine had a budget of $200 million. So yeah, Red One, the new Christmas film starring Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and J.K. Simmons, more to make than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Higher budget. I wonder where that falls in Christmas budget movies of all time. It sounds like I have homework for the weekend. I got to figure out what are the highest budgeted Christmas movies of all time. And what was the other thing I was going to look up? Oh, how much Mariah Carey has made from... Here we are commercializing Christmas, Ashley. My work for the weekend will be doing that.
And I'm going to be putting together a March Madness bracket of the ridiculous Christmas movies to watch for the year. Can't wait. Good thing it's Friday.
All right, well, that does it for us today. Ashley, who do we have to thank for all of our Christmas cheer today?
Today, I would like to thank Jeffrey Corson and the Kedrock for bringing us our Christmas cheer in November.
Listen, you've been mentioned on a globally talented podcast. Now you can apply for a visa anywhere you want to. Good luck to you.
You are a global talent, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
All right, well, that does it for us this week, ending November 8th, 2024. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.
I said tomorrow, I meant Monday. Shut up.